I'm Jasmine J. Piché, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec. I now reside in Edmonton, Alberta, and I'm an insurance professional. A lot of people ask me, well, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. And I'm like, I don't get it either. I didn't ask to be like this, and I don't understand it either. It's a fundamental feeling that just is there, and you just feel like something's wrong. So, yeah, I had to learn all on my own too, because I didn't understand it. It just didn't make sense to me either. So, I started my transition approximately, I guess it would be like 4 or 5 years ago, back in 2016. I personally felt always that I was just born in the wrong body. Never really was educated as to what that really meant. It was just a feeling that I had that it was just something was just not right. I just always thought, I just should have been born a girl. Growing up in Quebec back in the 80s, we didn't really know much about transgender or about transitioning and rectifying what I consider my dysphoria. So I just lived my life as best as I could, just always feeling like I didn't quite fit in the appropriate box. And I had conversations with some of my closer friends and so forth throughout the years, just basically relaying the fact that I was not very comfortable in my own skin. Did some research and found out that transitioning is actually a possibility. Didn't really know how funding worked or where you had to go or what the process was, but definitely was always something that was interesting to me. My mom found my search that I had done on the internet because I had used her computer, and that was a non-start. She told me, I don't know what this is, but this is a non-start. We're not doing this. And at first, I was very terrified and just very ashamed. And I think that the reason for it is back in that time, transgender was not even a topic that was broached. People just didn't talk about it back then. I think she was just worried for my safety. Being gay was one thing, but transitioning was just something that we're not going to be discussing. So fast forward many, many years later, I was actually out for a friend of mine who was preparing for her wedding, and she asked me to come shopping with her. So we were out having a couple of glasses of wine and having some lunch, and we fell on the topic again of something just doesn't feel right. And she basically asked me pretty flat out, well, what would make you happy? You just don't seem like you're happy with how things are. I just told her, I just really wish that I was a girl. And she's like, well, is there not anything that you can do about that? And I'm like, well, there is. You can transition from one gender to another. I did do some research. It is a possibility, not really sure how it starts. And she's like, well, then what are you waiting for? If you're not happy, then if you have an outlet that you can actually utilize or to change, then what's stopping you? And I think that the whole reason I hadn't tried to transition was the fact that I was afraid of losing all my support, afraid of losing friends, family, and so forth. Yeah, so I was very, very lucky I had the support. So I did some more research, and trying to find research for Canada-based situations, it's just, the information was slim and far between. It was just really, really difficult to do. I found the most resources I possibly could and started on my journey. Discussed it with my friends, so at least they were all on the same page. They all knew what was happening. First step was I talked to my doctor and let her know this is what I was thinking about, and I was so very lucky. My general practitioner had already gone through this process once before with another patient. So she's like, wait, I know exactly what we're going to be doing. Give me a second. I need to go get some pen, paper, and we're going to go through this together. I was like, oh, office. Okay. I was terrified that the first conversation I was going to have with her was going to be negative and scary and unsupportive, but it was the complete opposite. She was super caring and understanding. She had a little bit of information, but she was very honest and told me, there's not a lot of resources. A lot of us doctors just don't know what's going on. So we'll go through it together. So I got referred to an endocrinologist in order to start, hopefully, that process of hormone therapy. Got into hormones and was on hormone therapy for a number of years before I ever got into seeing the gatekeeper psychiatrist. That's definitely an ordeal and stressful for sure. I think that I lucked out because the normal process is you typically need to see one of the gatekeepers for the whole transition process to have government funding before much of your process can kind of get going. But I kind of skirted it by seeing a private psychiatrist in order to get actually diagnosed with gender dysphoria and then getting onto the hormone therapy, kind of moving the ball along a little bit quicker than the normal cycle. So got that all squared away. It took approximately about a year and a half before I got to see the psychiatrist. He was not as scary as I thought he was. I was really apprehensive because, this is the individual who's basically going to approve or decline your government funding for moving forward. And so I was terrified that he would nullify everything and it would be all for naught. But he was very encouraging. I saw him a bunch of times and he told me that I was very well grounded. I seemed to have found a lot of education on my own and I seemed to know exactly what I wanted. And it wasn't just on a whim that it was going to be, it's a life decision, not just a trend. So everything was approved and taken care of and it went pretty smoothly. It's a little bit more time consuming than you originally would hope or anticipate. Getting your name legally changed, having your gender marker also changed. It's time consuming, it's costly, but in the end, definitely well worthwhile. And got my funding approved for the bottom surgery. And actually tomorrow will mark 3 years since my surgery. Bottom surgery was completed in Montreal, which for me is ironic because I'm originally from Montreal. So government funded the surgery as well as my transportation to and from Montreal. So it was basically kind of a nice little mini trip to go and visit my family and friends and at the same time have the surgery done. It's definitely a journey. Every day can be a little hard, all depending on if you get misgendered or if you're not passable enough as per society. Society can be a little bit mean sometimes. So it's not a walk in the park. It's not always easy, but for myself personally, I found that it has been a worthwhile endeavor, and I couldn't possibly be any happier. I think myself personally, being 6'2", it's really hard for me to blend in. I just kind of stick out. And when I'm around a lot of people, I have a bit more of a bubbly personality. So blending in has never been my forte. So I've just pretty much adopted the mentality that, I fought for my whole entire life to be the authentic person that I am. I'm confident in who I am. I love who I am. And I know my worth. And I don't look for acceptance or approval by other people. I just live my life and I'm happy just doing that. And I find that you get to be pretty confident just doing that and living your life your own way. And I find that people seem to be drawn to that. I've made lots of friends. I've been accepted in lots of different organizations. never in a million years would I've ever thought that, for one, I could actually live my dream of being a female and living my true identity, but also being welcomed and included and looked to for support and guidance by other women. I think some of the biggest challenges that I've personally faced is being misgendered, not always coming across as society passable as possible. If I don't have my hair or makeup done just right, or if I'm not in high heels, sometimes people just automatically just assume that you're a male and you just have longer hair. And it's just, most days I can just take it in stride and it's a misgender. You just correct them and you just move on with your day. Some days it just hits you a little bit harder, an emotional battle that you have to do every day. And I think recovering from the surgery was a little bit harder than I was expecting. There was a lot more downtime than I was originally expecting. I was expecting 6 to 8 weeks downtime. It took a little bit longer. I didn't really feel fully healed and my full self until about 9 months in. That's not to say that I was in pain or anything. It was just, I was just not feeling fully healed and fully ready to embrace my new life. Navigating life in a new format is kind of like almost like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. You emerge and you just have to meander and find your way, and it's not always easy, but it's a challenge and it's a journey, and I've embraced it as best as I possibly can. I think that some of the greatest joys that I've had is, for one, most recently, is being asked to be a co-chair for a women's only group. Feeling that validation of, the women here are all women of different walks and different backgrounds, and they see me as an equal. I'm not just a trans woman, but I'm a woman and I'm welcome, and they seek my presence with them, which for me was huge. And I think also the day after my surgery, I was just, thank God, it's gone. I never have to worry about looking in the mirror and feeling at odds with myself. It was just, I thought that I would have some regrets or some animosity about it, but in reality, it was just tears of relief and just glad that it was over with and that I could finally move on to the next chapter of my life. Also getting my ID with my proper gender and my new legal name, that was definitely a huge celebration for me, and it means a lot to me, for sure. I don't get to talk to too many clients over the phone. However, I got hired for this job during the pandemic, and it was over Teams and video cams and meeting individuals, and then being told, okay, well, training's going to be virtual as well. It's definitely a bit more of a challenge, but I think that it's great that we have technology that allows us to still be safe and still grow both professionally and personally. It's wonderful seeing my coworkers through the webcam and being able to connect with them, even if it's not physically, to at least connect, see people, get that interaction, get the support. When you're working from home 5 days a week, it can be very lonely, and I'm single, I live alone. So when you also work from home by yourself, it can be lonely at times. So being able to connect with even just my coworkers through Zoom or Teams is incredible. And at least I have that support there. So it means a lot. I've dated since my surgery and also since my beginning of my transition. I've had some great experiences where I've been accepted and embraced for who I am and treated with kindness. And I don't think that it was the transition that was the problem. It was just the individuals that I was choosing were not respecting my worth. So it was more that of an aspect than the transition. They were fully on board with who I was, how I was, and that was a really great feeling to be able to date and be seen as the person that I see in the mirror. Yeah, dating is a little bit hard. It's not always easy. Get burned a couple of times and I find that my walls are up and I'm a little bit less willing to trust and to open up. And no offense, but after having surgery, I mean, it's a very costly surgery that I was very lucky that the government paid for, but still, it to me is considered an asset. So I'm like, you know what? You need to prove yourself that you deserve that luxury, that my personal time, it's valuable. So I don't just give it to anyone and everyone. It's important. It's meaningful. I think that people often underestimate individuals, but especially women. I mean, women have often been put in a position where they were to serve. I mean, I love serving, but at the same time, I still like to have the respect. I give respect, therefore I expect respect in return. So I will not disrespect your time or your space or your body, but I also expect the same in return. So, I mean, my body's my temple. So, I mean, you're not going to come into my temple and disrespect it. And I would never do the same to you. So, I thought that after transitioning that all the pieces would fall into place and life would be almost like a fairy tale. Like it was just meant to be, everything's just going to be great. And it's going to be rainbows and butterflies and happiness and everything's just going to be perfect. However, the reality of that is, although there are some moments of glitter and rainbows and butterflies and all that good stuff, there are some times where it's not that. Healing from surgery takes time. Finding myself. I think the fact that I need to rediscover myself with my new body, with my new mindset. It took a while for me to become comfortable in my own skin, know who I am, know my worth, know what my boundaries are and what my expectations are from a partner. And I think that it took me some trial and error. And I think I have a better grasp on who I am as a person, what I'm looking for, what I'm expecting from my partner, and what my hard limits are of what I will not accept. And I think that's important. I've become very accustomed to my life alone. And I never thought I would have been in that position where I've always wanted to settle down, get married, have a family. And as time creeps past a lot quicker than I was expecting, getting close to turning 40 this year, I honestly thought I would have been married with a family of my own. And that's not the reality. The reality is I am happily single, no children, no real possibility for children, really. So it's definitely a very different future than I was expecting, but that's not a bad thing. I like who I am. I like where I'm at. I'm working on my career, and I think knowing my own self-worth is definitely really important. So is it different? It is, but it's still good. I have my best friend who actually is going to be looking into IVF and going that route because she didn't find a partner either, even though she's a cisgendered woman. finding a man is not easy nowadays, especially when you know your worth and you're not willing to compromise. So she's being super brave and going the IVF route. And we've decided that we're going to combine households so that she wouldn't be a complete single mom. She'll have some backup, so at least she'll have Auntie Jazz to help with baby care. So it's not going to be my kid, but I'm going to still help raise a child regardless. So it's still going to be pretty fulfilling. I think my biggest dream is I still have my heart set on getting married. I still want to get married. It's been something that when I was younger, I was always told, oh, well, you can never be a woman. It's just a pipe dream. You will never be a wife. So it's just something you just need to forget about. And I'm all about, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you how I'm going to. I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to find someone and I will be happy. Best advice I could possibly give would be go for it. If you think that it's what you want and it's going to make you happy, don't be scared. Go for it. The people who really, truly love you will support you. You will have the backing that you need. It's not going to be always easy. It's going to be long and hard. But like anything, it is so worth the wait, and it's so worth everything, all the obstacles that are in your way. It's truly an amazing journey. So do it. Don't be scared. Go for it. Find the support that you need and move forward. It's been a journey. It's been ups. It's been downs. And I think that it's made me the person that I am today. It's made me stronger. I've been able to really cultivate some amazing friendships and bonds with some incredible people throughout the way. That's what I want to remember the most, is the journey that got me from point A to point B, and to be humble about it. It wasn't easy. There was sacrifice and it was hard, but in the end, it was totally worth it. Everyone's journey is unique. I personally went from being a cisgender male to being a fully functioning female. I had bottom surgery, hormone therapy. That's my journey. That's the process that I choose to do. Do things your way to the level that you're comfortable with. There's going to be naysayers, and not everyone's going to approve. Not everyone's going to understand. Be understanding of where you're coming from, and also ensure that, not everyone understands where we're coming from. So educate them, let them know, okay, well, this is what I have learned. This is where I'm coming from. This is how I feel, and help people to understand. Pass on the information. Let people know, and I think that that's the best thing that we can possibly do as a society, is to embrace each other's unique journey and where we're each comfortable going with. Myself personally, I find that I would prefer someone ask me a question than just assume. So I'm sure there's lots of individuals that are out there that would rather get the question, as awkward or uncomfortable as it is, than to just have an assumption. I think as transgender people, sometimes we don't always understand why society doesn't accept us. It's because they don't understand. And it's okay that they don't understand, but I think it's having the patience to explain our perspective. It's a unique perspective. And if we take the time to educate and to support and illuminate the situation and expand people's horizons, there is a possibility of more acceptance. The more people know, the more people grow, and the better things are for everyone. Growing up even in the 80s, it's still not something, unfortunately, there wasn't enough education or openness about anything that was outside of the normal stereotypical box. I'm all about breaking boxes and really allowing everyone their own place and making sure that everyone fits in what they're comfortable with. So if you identify as this, then that's great. How can I better support you? If you identify as that, then what can I do to make your life easier? So I just think that it's just important that we just embrace and educate as best as we possibly can. Because I mean, the younger generations are a lot more fortunate than we are, for sure. Because I mean, there's the education, there's a lot more resources than what we originally would have had. Being a woman, being a person of a different culture, a different background. I mean, we're still finding that we still have issues with individuals who are Muslim or come from different countries where their skin is automatically determined, oh, well, you must be a terrorist. Well, I mean, where's the acceptance? I mean, we're supposed to be from Canada and we're renowned across the globe to be accepting and friendly, but yet we're not always as friendly to our own kind. So, yeah, I think we still have a ways to go, but at least we're on the right path. If we can look at a rainbow and think that that's beautiful, then we need to remember that everyone who's a different color is also equally as beautiful as a rainbow. So it's just important to remember that.